Can everyone hear me okay?
Yes.
My sound is okay? Oh, okay. All right. Well, welcome to our Life Online presentation. LIFE stands for Living Independence for Everyone. And our mission is promoting independent living and advancing community change. And today we have a guest presenter, Robbie Breshears. Robbie attended Augusta University and graduated with a bachelor's degree in sociology in 2005. He has been employed with Walton Options for Independent Living since 2006. He became a community work incentive coordinator and started working for the work incentive and planning assistance WIPA program with Walton Options in 2010. He has recently started working as the WIPA Program Manager, as Walton Options recently started to serve counties in the eastern part of the state of Georgia under a new cooperative agreement with the Social Security Administration. As the program manager, Robbie also provides direct services to beneficiaries of Social Security benefits based on disability. Robbie loves working in the WIPA program because he used to receive SSI and Medicaid benefits, and he understands the fear that people have when it comes to employment and benefits. He loves helping to break down the myths and barriers to employment for the people in the WIPA project. Robbie is an avid sports fan in his spare time. So Life Online presents Mr. Robbie Breshears. You can take it away.
Thank you. Give me 1 second. Let me share my screen. Where'd it go? Oh, there it is. Where is it?
And Robbie, I'll monitor the chat for any questions that might come up, okay?
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
There it is. All right. So can everyone see the PowerPoint?
Yes.
All right.
Yeah, I can see it. We do have a couple of 3 people on that are blind or low vision. Robbie, just as a heads up, if you have anything that's particularly image dependent, if you could just describe it for us.
Okay. So today I'm going to be presenting a presentation, kind of like set to the concept of the old TV show that's on the History Channel called Mythbusters. Basically we're going to talk about the most common myths when it comes to receiving Social Security benefits based on disability, handling employment. And the first slide here has a picture of a sign that says Mythbusters. So the first thing I want to talk about is right now Walton Options is involved in the HIRE-ME Georgia campaign. This is an awareness campaign that's focused on creating a more empowered workforce in which persons with disabilities are provided equitable like opportunities for like employment, and like advancement, like understanding your options, like as a job seeker, like as a part like of this campaign. So basically, like this slide here like has a picture like of 3 people that were like a part like of the campaign to get to there were photos taken, and then there was a commercial, and there's 3 people. They have differing like disabilities, and like all 3 of them like are like employed. And so basically, if you go to the HIRE-ME Georgia .com, there like you can learn about consumers can learn about their rights and responsibilities when it comes to employment, how to find employment. And then there's stuff there to share with employers that like also provide like information like about like how hiring persons with disabilities, the benefits of that. Like for me, like a lot of times people with disabilities like seem to be more, driven and like provide like a lot to the companies that they're able to be like employed by. So, all right. So, like as was previously stated, like my name like is Robbie Brashears, and I'm the WIPA program like manager for the work incentives planning like an assistance project like here like at Walton Options. The WIPA program has community work incentive coordinators like our counselors that like are trained to like help to show someone how they can go to work, and how things are like in place where they don't have to worry about those benefits being like taken like away through like things that Social Security has, which are called Social Security work incentives. So we're gonna, during the presentation, I'm going to go again to some of those different work incentives. Walton Options, the WIPA project, proudly serves like 100 like in 2 counties like in the eastern part like of Georgia through a grant provided by the Social Security Administration. Okay, so the first myth of the day like is I can't work because I have like a disability. Social Security, as I just stated, have different work incentives that provide like opportunities for you to try to work while you're still receiving like a cash benefit. That's then they also have like employment networks or vocational rehabilitation through the Ticket to Work program these like agencies can help you to like explore like your work goals like and your options, and like can offer you services to help you to like achieve your work goals. Those things are provided through what's called the Ticket to Work legislation. Prior to 1999, Social Security had these different work incentives, such as like the 9-month like trial work period, such as substantial gainful activity. But prior to 1999, those work incentives were really, I guess the term I would use is smaller, like meaning prior to 1999, like if you like made like, let's say like $50 to $100, that could be considered to be like a trial work period. Like that could be like a month, like of those 9 months. But with the Ticket to Work legislation, it basically put those work incentives, it gave them like steroids. So now there's more strength, there's more flexibility. And part of that legislation also like set up what's called like employment networks, where Social Security has agreements with certain agencies who happen to develop like an agreement to become an employment network to provide, you know, work readiness services, like or training, and helping people to find employment while they're on benefits. And like as long as they provide those services, and then the beneficiary like is like making timely progress towards whatever work goal that they develop together, as long as they're making timely progress, after like a certain period, that like employment network can be reimbursed by Social Security. Those services that like a person can receive from an employment network or from vocational rehabilitation, those services, they don't cost anything. They're there for people to like access, to help them to find employment that fits their situations. And then also like you can also find out like about like your rights as a person with a disability, such as like a reasonable accommodations to perform the job duties. The like employment networks, they can help to provide that like information to the people that they serve. The second myth: if I work, I will automatically lose my benefits. Some work incentives like allow you to try to work without affecting your benefits right away. Previously, like in the last slide, like I started talking about the 9-month like trial period. Okay, so that like is a work incentive that like if a person receives a Title II payment, that could be like Social Security disability insurance. That could be like what's called like a childhood disability benefit, or that could be like a disabled widow's benefit. So like if a person receives a Title II payment and they've never gone to work since they started to receive those benefits, then they have access to what's considered what's called like a 9-month like trial work period. So here's how it works. Let's say that someone hasn't gone to work since they started to receive those cash payments. And then like in 2022, they decide to go to work. For 9 months, for up to 9 months, no matter what they make, that cash payment will not be like affected at all. So basically somebody could go to work and make $1 million, or in the case of a young lady that like I've been like who I recently provided services to, she started working for the first time since she started to receive a cash payment. Like, and right now she's making almost like $11,000 like a month. So for 9 months, those benefits will not be like affected like at all. But keeping in mind that during this period, Social Security looks at something called the trial period threshold. Like, and for 2022, that like is $970 per month, and that's before taxes. And so, like, here's how that works: if a person goes to work and they make, let's say, like $1,200, that's that month, and then let's say the next 2 months they make $900. Okay, so Social Security, they would look at that first month, and because it's that 1,200 is like more than 970, that month would count towards those 9 months. Those next 2 months, because the person only made 900, that those months would not count towards those 9 months. So keeping in mind 2 things. One, if you're using the trial period, the 9 months, no matter what you make, will not like affect that cash payment. Also, those 9 months, they don't have to be done consecutively. They can be done non-consecutively. So depending on if you're making less than the threshold, then like your trial period is going to actually last longer than 9 months. And then also on the other program that Social Security provides benefits through, which is the supplemental security like income, or SSI. If like somebody was like a student and they were under the age of 22, and they wanted to get some work experience, there's a work incentive called the student like earned income like exclusion, which allows them to make thousands of dollars per year, up to a limit that they can make, that will not like cause that payment to be like affected. So that like allows them to get like experience without having to worry about whether they're going to lose that cash payment. Okay. The second bullet of this is depending on the amount of your wages and the type of benefit you receive, you may be able to work and still receive some of your check. That comes into play when you're talking about the SSI, because they have the 2-for-1 benefit. And what I mean by that is after standard deductions of $85 per month, for every $2 you make, they would reduce that check by $1. So how it typically works out, if somebody's receiving SSI and they go to work, even though that check is reduced, they only count their earnings, half of their earnings per month. And because that check is reduced, when you put it all together from the reduced payment to their paycheck, when you put it together, normally what happens is if somebody's working and they're receiving SSI, they're going to have more money than if they were just sitting on the couch. So that's another example of breaking that myth apart, which says I will if I work, I will automatically lose my benefits. That's not the case. The key is to make sure when you're working that you keep your pay stubs and other records and report to Social Security. Normally, when I give this presentation, that's something that I continuously go back to, because that is by far the most important thing that I can share with people. If you work and you're receiving benefits, you need to report in a timely manner and on a regular basis to Social Security. The next common myth is if I try to go to work, I will automatically lose my Medicare or my Medicaid. Both the Medicare through the Social Security disability insurance, SSDI, and the Medicaid through supplemental security income, which is SSI, have protections. The first one that I want to focus on is what's called the extended period of Medicare coverage. Here's how that goes. If you earn enough that your SSDI checks stop, and that would happen after your trial period, what happens is then you would move into what's called that second phase, which is called the extended period of eligibility. During that phase, Social Security starts to look at a person's earnings to determine whether or not they're performing what's called substantial gainful activity. And if their countable earnings, if they don't have certain deductions that can be used, if their countable earnings are for 2022, substantial gainful activity is $1,350 per month, and that's before taxes. So if a person finished up that 9-month trial period and they moved into the extended period of eligibility, and Social Security determined that they were performing substantial gainful activity, they would suspend suspend that cash payment. During that time, though, the person for like at least 93 months after the trial period, if that happens, they would be able to still have access to their to their to the Medicare benefits that they receive through the work incentive called the like extended period like of Medicare coverage. And then when we're talking about, the like SSI program, if you currently receive Medicaid with your SSI and you go to work, and that payment, because like you start making so much money that payment is reduced to zero, you can still have access to your Medicaid through like a work incentive called 1619B. That like allows Social Security to move you like into what's called like a non-pay status. When that happens, they're not paying you like a cash payment, but they still have you eligible for like SSI, and that like allows you to maintain your eligibility for the health insurance through Medicaid. And this can continue as long as you don't have countable like earnings per year that go like over the state threshold, which for 2022 for the state of Georgia like is $33,300 like in $53, and you don't have $2,000 like $2,000 or more saved up like somewhere like in a checking account like or somewhere. But like a little side note is if a person's eligible to set up an ABLE account, those are fairly new. They've started the last couple of years. That like account like allows the person, if they're eligible, to have it, to set one up. That like allows them to put certain amounts of money per year like to that account that doesn't count towards that $2,000 resource limit when it comes to still trying to maintain the Medicaid. I wish back when I was receiving SSI and Medicaid that like I had that, because what happened was, like for me, I had to make the personal decision. Did I want to start to save up for my retirement or not have anything saved up? And I decided chances are Social Security, the way things are going, by the time I retire, that may not be there. So I made the decision to start my 401k. Like, and then what happened is once I got a certain amount like of money put like into that 401k, then I was told I was no longer eligible to receive like SSI or to continue to receive the health insurance. So the next myth. If I use my ticket to go to work, Social Security will conduct a medical review that will, hold on, let me minimize this. And I will lose my benefits. This is not true either, because if a person is like, basically, if a medical continuing disability review has already been scheduled for you before you assign your ticket, Social Security will continue with the medical continuing disability review. But if you decide that like you want to participate in the ticket program and like you want to assign like your ticket to like either like an employment network or to vocational rehabilitation, and you're following that plan that like y'all put together and you're making timely progress, if it comes up that you're scheduled to have a medical review done, Social Security, if you're making timely progress in that plan, they will not conduct that medical review, because the reason that they provide this protection like is because they want people to basically be able to focus on you know, making timely progress and, you know, meeting their goal, because the hope is what will happen is the person will become like self-sufficient and not have to receive Social Security benefits, but based on like disability. Before I continue, does anyone have any questions like so far?
I don't see anything in the chat so far, Robbie, but let's give people a minute to unmute.
Okay.
I do. I have a question.
Okay. Go ahead.
For the program, how long do you guys work with the client?
I'm sorry. Can you say that again?
I said, how long do you guys work with like the client? Is like 1 year, 2 years? How long do you work with the client?
That's a good question. Basically there's no time limit like of how long through like our program that we can provide like counseling services, because like Social Security, they want their CWICs through the WIPA programs to continuously provide follow-up services. So for like example, before this current contract, previously we were happened like to serve the state of South Carolina, and there was a lady who I started working with back in like 2010, and I worked with her like until she reached full retirement age, and I think that was back in 2020. So to like answer like your question, there's no time limit. Like depending on how like how like how you know what services needed for that consumer, that's how long we provide services. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
I have a question.
Yes,
For
ma'am.
the 9-month trial period, the $970 threshold, is that based on the type of disability that you have, or is that the same across the board?
That's the same across the board. Now I want to take it a step further though, because when it comes to the substantial gainful activity like incentive that like is looked at like after the trial period, that's different because if you're considered to be statutorily blind by Social Security, there's a higher limit when it comes to like substantial gainful activity that like you can do per month compared to like if if you don't have the statutory like blindness. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
What happens if you have a family who is going through something like this? Like maybe they have what is it? They have a form of genetic blindness, and there's more than one member in the family that live together that are going through something like this at the same time in the same household.
So like our so like if the person are you asking me like if those two people like are like a couple?
Yeah.
Okay. So if they're receiving like SSI, then they're considered to be like an eligible couple, and so Social Security considers them to be one person. But they'll be able to take advantage of blind work expenses. Like if they're receiving like SSI, so when they do go to work, they can have more money not deducted, because when it comes to blind work expenses, Social Security basically counts almost anything and everything like under the sun, such as if you have to pay for certain clothes for your job, or you have to pay for like someone to take you to your job, or you got to pay for like food for your job. Those are things that can be deducted, which will keep more money like in like on the payment. Now, like if a person's receiving like FSDI, that couple will be considered to be different like are separate, so they can like each make the same amount like I don't mean they can make the same amount. What I mean by that like is like the substantial gainful activity, that would be the same amount for that person. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Any more questions or?
The current substantial gainful amount for people who are blind versus people with physical disabilities?
Yeah, give me 1 second. Let me because I can tell you real quick. Just give me 1 second. Because I have it.
And while you're looking that up, Robbie, is there, if there's an overpayment, have you addressed anything about myths on ways to pay that back?
Not yet, but we can talk about that once I get to that slide.
Okay.
All right, give me 1 second.
Thank you. You're doing a great job. I appreciate everything you're talking about. Thank you.
Okay. All right. And for 2022, like the substantial gainful activity for someone who is considered to be blind, like is $2,260. Like this is on the Howard. Did I send you the 1 page kind of like fact sheet?
Yes, you did. And I'll make
Okay.
sure I share that with everyone.
Yeah, because that basically talks about like all the different, work incentives, and like it has the current like substantial like gainful activity stuff. So yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
Yes, ma'am. And then the next myth, like if my check stops because I go to work, and then I have to stop working because of my disability, I will have to reapply for my benefits all over again. You will not need to reply like if like your benefits ended within the past 5 years due to like your earnings, and you meet like a few other requirements, like including that like you still have the like original medical condition or one related to it that prevents like you from working. You may be able to receive up to 6 months of temporary cash benefits in addition to Medicare or Medicaid coverage while Social Security conducts a medical review to determine like if your benefits can be reinstated. So this talks about like a work incentive called like expedient reinstatement. And how this comes into play is if you ever get to a point because like you're working and like you get to a point where like you're making enough money and social security stops like your cash payment, they terminate your cash payment. Once that happens, then like you have a 5-year period where you can go back to them. Is let's say that within that 5-year period, you have to stop working because of your disability. You can go back to them and say, look, something happened. I can no longer work, and I would like for you to look and to see like if you could start my benefits back. So that's the person requesting expedient reinstatement. During that time, Social Security, they would look at everything that they have, all of your records, everything that they have, and they would make a quicker determination than when you previously like applied for, disability. While they're making that determination, they'll provide you with up to 6 months of temporary cash benefits. And in addition, also that like health insurance that comes with it. If Social Security comes back and says, yes, we still consider you to be disabled by like our like adult standard, then they'll start to pay you like those cash payments again. After 24 months of receiving those cash payments, then you would be like entitled to like another trial period, or like a like trial period, or like another extended period like of like eligibility. And if like if you're like applying for expedient reinstatement and you're receiving like SSI, they would start to pay you that cash payment like again. The next myth: if the like IRS will know, I'm sorry, the like IRS will notify the Social Security Administration about my work income. No, they will not. It is your duty to report your gross wages by the 10th of the following month that you have made the money. The like example, gross wages earned in August must be reported by September 10th. This is a myth. No matter how long I've been doing this work, when I try to explain to someone that they need to report their earnings to Social Security, and they don't do it, they tell me later, well, the reason I didn't do it is because I figured that the like IRS would tell Social Security that like I'm working. And the thing that I've explained to people like is the reason that it is important to report is so that your working income can be properly tracked, so that you can make sure that you're properly using any of these work incentives, so that if you get to a point where you're not supposed to be receiving a cash payment, those can be stopped in an effective manner to minimize any overpayments. And if you're not providing Social Security with what you're making on a regular basis, then what happens is like eventually somebody will look at your case and they will see, oh, this person for like 2020, they made like $30,000, but because it wasn't being reported to them, they had to wait until somebody actually looked at what was in the computer, because the Social Security Administration and the IRS computer systems, they don't regularly talk to one another. So somebody actually has to look like at the person's record before like it can be caught. And typically when that happens, a person will have to pay back like a lot of like money, a couple $1,000s. So the key like is to always report to Social Security in a timely manner when you go to work. Okay. Before I go on to the next slide, I want to talk about like how like, you know, if you have an overpayment and you get like an overpayment notice, like a lot of times people tend to freak out because the way that Social Security does those notices is, let's say that somebody's been overpaid for a couple months, it's totaled up to like, let's say like maybe $6,000. Well, the way those notices are set up, it basically says, we like overpaid you like $5,000 or $6,000. Here's a self-addressed envelope where like you can write up the check like and send it back. Well, like a lot of people freak out because who has like $6,000 to basically just shell out? But there's options if the person continues to read through the overpayment notice. There's options like basically like if like you believe that the overpayment wasn't wasn't like something that you did by mistake, then what you can do like is like you can appeal it. And then Social Security, they will look at it once you submit it, and they'll like either come back and say, yes, we considered this, and that was a mistake on our part. So like everything's good. Or sometimes what happens like is if, let's say that the person's never worked before, and basically they tell Social Security, I did not know this, I'm sorry. Sometimes what will happen like is that first time Social Security, they may disregard the overpayment. I'm not saying that happens every time, but that's a possibility. And then the other option like is if the person knows that they were overpaid like and it's correct, then what the person can also like ask for Social Security to do like is to take out like a small amount per month, or pay them back like a small amount money per month. So like I say all this to say that if you do get like an overpayment notice, there's basically options. Like it's not to the point where you have to basically come up with all the money and provide it to them, right away. All right, the next myth: Social Security will automatically apply work incentives to my situation. while some are automatic, many are not. Let's talk about some two work incentives that come to my mind that like aren't like automatic, that like you have to apply for them. One's called like an impairment related work expense. That's when like you have like an item or service that's related to like your disability, that's paid for by like yourself, that's not paid by like another source, such as like vocational rehab or like Medicaid. And basically this item or service like is needed to allow you to continue to do like your like employment or stay like on like your job. One like impairment related like expense that comes in my mind like is there was a lady like her disability, she had to have these very specialized like shoes that like allowed her to stay like on her feet, while she was going throughout her day. And they were really like expensive. They back a couple years ago, they were like maybe $400. So what we did was we basically developed there's an impairment related work expense request form that as a CWIC I can provide to the person, and I can help to develop the like information to provide to Social Security. And so what we did was we provided that to them, and what Social Security did is they didn't take the whole like $400 when she submitted it. So here's how like it works. If like you submit like a request and Social Security comes back and says, yes, we consider this to be like an impairment related, work expense. Whenever that person needs to have their countable like earnings lowered, if like you're making above substantial gainful activity, then like if you have an impairment related like expense, then you can provide information about when you paid for that like item or service, and then like Social Security, they would deduct that from those monthly like wages. So how they did it for this woman though was like for like a couple of months, they basically prorated it. So they would lower her countable earnings for those couple of months, so that she could get the full value out of those shoes. And so her countable like earnings were lowered. And then like another work incentive like is called like a subsidy like a special condition. And basically what that like is like if you have certain things that the like employer does that basically allow you to be able to stay on the to stay like employed, but they pay you the same amount that they would pay somebody who didn't have a disability, such as, let's say that you're going to work, and because of your disability, maybe you need to have a little bit more time to do something, or like you need to take like more breaks, or maybe the employer doesn't require you to like do certain things, like you can't lift something that's like more than like 5 pounds. But typically most employees in that position would be required to do that, or they wouldn't get those other special conditions. There's a request form that can be submitted to Social Security, and they can put like a dollar value to that subsidy or special condition. So then if those countable earnings have to be lowered, then what'll happen is they'll just attach that subsidy to that. But keeping in mind, I'm telling you all about these things to basically say this. These are some work incentives that they're not like automatic. They have to be like applied for. Like in one of the things as a CWIC with the WIPA program that can be provided, like as if I'm providing services to someone, and they have impairment related work expenses or possibly subsidies or special conditions, that documentation can be provided, and together we can develop those things to submit to their local Social Security office. So yes. And the best thing to do is to keep copies of all of your records and provide accurate documentation to Social Security. And the next myth: as long as I report my gross wages and employment supports, I will never have to worry about looking over payment. It is possible to be like obsessed in overpayment of benefits, even with reporting. You can help out your situation by timely reporting all of your gross wages and work incentives, keeping documentation that you reported, keeping copies of documents you submitted, and not spending any benefits you are not entitled to. We can help you understand what you need and what records to keep. Yes, I wish that I could say, if you're reporting your wages and everything that you're supposed to do, you're never going to have an overpayment. You don't have to worry about it. But that's not the case, because I can share my personal story. I mean, when I first started working for Walton Options, back in 2006, for maybe the first year, maybe the first 3 years, I was still receiving SSI. And so every month I would go down to the Social Security office and I would provide them my pay stubs. And many times I would go back the following month, or the month after that, and to report some more pay stubs. And more times than not, I was told, well, we don't have the pay stubs for these months. And I would pull out my records, and I'm like, well, here's a signed receipt that states that I did provide them to y'all. And so because of that, I was still like given like an overpayment. The thing that I tell people like is this: if you know that you're not supposed to be receiving those benefits, or maybe like it's too much benefits, like let's say that you're receiving like SSI, on like an SSI payment, and you go to work and like you're making like enough money where you know that like, well, like my cash payment should not be this. A prime example of this, okay? So if you go to work and you're receiving like SSI, and then like let's say that you report your wages by the 10th of that month. Sometimes what happens is, what's going to happen is that next payment that you receive, your SSI cash payment, is probably still going to be the same. Because what happens is, if you, let's say that you go to work in the month of July, well, that's not going to show up on your SSI payment what you happen to make for the month of July on like until the September payment. Because when it comes to the SSI payment, there's a 1 month lag between how they change your SSI payment. So if you know that like you're supposed to be receiving less than what you received, what you would do like is what I did, and what I tell people like in that situation like is, if you know that you're not like entitled to that cash, put it like in your bank, and so that when Social Security, they send you that overpayment notice, you can just like provide it back to them. But receiving services from a CWIC, will like allow you to understand that, and the CWIC will be able to guide you. And working is almost always a better deal. One, because more times than not, like you're making more money, or like I always tell people, going to work like allows us to basically develop, relationships with people that normally we would not have. And because like as humans, we're social beings, that's just how people tend to have a lot of like happiness. And then how to contact the WIPA project like for services. The preferred method of contact that like Social Security has us telling people like to do like is to call the National Ticket to Work Helpline, and the number is 866-968-7842 to be referred to the WIPA project for benefits counseling services. Basically what will happen is, if a person calls the helpline, they tell them that they would like to be referred to their local WIPA project for services. The the ticket to work helpline customer representative will take down their information. They'll start the referral process, and then they'll pass it along to that project. And then someone from the project will call you or try to make contact with you in the next 2 days. Does anyone have any questions?
I do.
Okay, go ahead. Okay.
Go ahead, Jan. You got your hand raised. I don't see anybody else that is asking a question.
Okay, how does this work for how does this work for a person that's about to turn 62?
So how it works if you're turning 62, it's the same because if you're receiving Social Security disability, okay, a person has the option to switch to early retirement, but Social Security is not going to switch a person who's receiving Social Security disability to early retirement, because what happens is you would be provided a smaller retirement payment. So typically what will happen, is if that person doesn't choose early retirement and they'll continue to receive Social Security disability benefits, and then once they reach what is considered their full retirement age, then what will happen is at that point Social Security will switch them from Social Security disability insurance to regular Social Security retirement, because the thing is, once that happens, all of these rules and limits, they go out the window.
Mhm.
Okay.
Okay. Very good.
Calvin Tinley, I have a question as well.
Okay.
The stipulation in the question I have is based on self-employment. What would be the grace period to prove to Social Security and yourself that you're sustainable as a self-employer?
So you would have the same time frame that
That's what I'm asking you. What's the grace period to prove to yourself and Social Security that you can sustain yourself as an employer or self-employed individual?
So basically, you would have the same time frame and the same limits provided, such as if you're receiving Social Security disability insurance, you would have that trial period, and then but here's what I would tell somebody who told me that they're thinking about self-employment. I would definitely want you to contact the WIPA program, because I want to be able to basically go through with you about how self-employment is a little bit different than if somebody's just working for an employer. And I want to back up and I want to explain the process of receiving services real quick, because typically I do that, but for some reason, it slipped my mind. Okay, so basically, let's say that you contact the ticket to work outline, and they send you the referral to us, and then once we get the referral, then we make the initial contact, and we talk about we basically gather additional information. We talk further about the employment goals that you have, and then what we then do is after that initial call, then we send out some paperwork. It's it has releases of information to have the person sign, so that we can verify the person's benefits with Social Security or with a state program such as Medicaid or SNAP. And then once we do that, then what we do is we use the main tool that we have when we're providing services. We put together what's called a benefit summary, an analysis, and that lays out for that person, based on their benefits and their employment goals and their situation, how their benefits will or will not be affected, all of the different work incentives that may be applicable to them to use. And then once we put that summary packet together, then we send it out to them, and then then at some point in the near future, then we basically have another conversation where we go through and we answer all the questions. And the reason that that previously, I said, if you happen to be having self-employment goals, there's different things in place that summary would be a little different. So we would want to make sure that that person understood everything when it came to self-employment. Okay.
Well, thank you. The reason I mentioned it is because I have a nonprofit that I chair and basically founded, and I was
Okay.
thinking about going into for-profit.
Oh,
And
okay.
that's the reason I asked the question about self-employment.
Okay.
It's just 12 years ago in 2010 when I started, I was doing a lot of volunteering resource work for the community, and I wanted to know about the trial period for a person that's self-employed and or sustaining a trial period, and what would the ultimate goal want to be attained by your organization to assist me in trying to go for, as they say, 501c3 for employment or profit.
Yeah. Okay. Here's an example of something that's a little different when it comes to self-employment.
Right.
When you're talking about the trial period, previously I was talking about how the trial period has that state threshold. I mean, I'm sorry, not state threshold. Has the trial period threshold. Okay, so when it comes to self-employment, not only is the the 970 looked at per month, but if you're self-employed, if you're basically contributing more than 80 hours or a month, you're contributing 80 hours or more per month when it comes to that self-employment, that could also be considered to be a trial period.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Month. Yes, sir.
Anyone else have a question?
There's nothing in the chat right now, Denise. These are really great questions. I really appreciate all this information, Robbie. You are an absolute gem with all this fantastic information.
Yes, ma'am.
Good afternoon. This is Sabrina. I do have a question. If you were to work under your threshold, does that impact your benefits?
No. If are are you talking about the trial period?
Yes. I was just wondering in general, if you were to work under the amount that you're allowed to work, just say for instance, I think it's, you said it was $13.50 right now. If you were to work and stay under that limit throughout your whole process of time of working, would it be impacted at all or no?
No, it would not be.
Okay.
What happens after the trial work period, the 9 months?
So after the trial period is over, then you're gonna move into into that second phase, which is called the extended period of eligibility. That period lasts for 36 months. And the difference between that and the trial period is previously when I was talking about the trial period, I told you that those months don't have to be done consecutively. They can be done non-consecutively. When the EPE starts, regardless if you continue working or not, those months continue. So that's a difference. Okay. But during the 36 months, Social Security starts to look at whether the person's performing substantial gainful activity. Now let's say that the person's not performing substantial gainful activity when they start that second phase, but let's say 6 months in, they start performing substantial gainful activity. If that happens, Social Security, they'll provide that person with their benefits for 3 additional months that they consider that to be substantial gainful activity. That first month that they perform substantial gainful activity is called your cessation month. And then they provide 2 additional months called your 2 grace period, months. Okay. And then after that, if you have a month or months where you're performing substantial gainful activity, then for those months, you would not be entitled to your cash payment. If you have, so what will happen is, if that happens, Social Security will suspend your cash payment for those months. And the reason I say suspend is because they're not terminating your benefits, they're just suspending it, because the main benefit of the extended period of eligibility is this: if you come back under where you're not performing substantial gainful activity, so for 2022, if you're not performing substantial gainful activity, you're making less than $13.50 per month, then for those months, Social Security would start to provide your payment again. So they would basically turn the faucet back on. And during those 36 months, a person can have their benefits suspended or have it turned back on, or such. So, and then let's say a person gets to their 36th month, and then they get into their 37th month and they perform substantial gainful activity. If that happens, then Social Security would terminate those cash payments, and then you have the 5-year clocks start where you can go back to Social Security and request expedient reinstatement.
Okay.
And like all of that's a lot, so that's why like I'm always promoting, like if people want to receive like services through the WIPA program, so that we can put that all together like in a summary. That's the best thing to do.
Yeah, I'm sure those summaries are extremely helpful. That sounds like a really great benefit.
Yes.
Did I hear someone else trying to ask a question?
I think I have a good question, Denise. What is the ultimate goal of your organization or program when it comes to employment for the disabled or Social Security recipients?
Well, like years ago, like in the beginning when Social Security started these programs, their ultimate goal like is for more people to come off of benefits. But even in Social Security's best year, I'm sure that my director Cindy could tell you more about this, but I remember she told me that even in their best year, like 0.01% actually comes off of it. So if you're asking me what the goal for like our program is,
Yes.
we just want to provide like like comprehensive work incentive like counseling services, so that people can make like informed decisions about like employment and their benefits, like so that they can be as like independently as they possibly can be.
Thank you.
I have one last question before we wrap up. I wanted to ask if a person is on SSI, does their non-disabled spouse's employment affect their benefits?
Yes, they do.
Okay. Okay, well, thank you, Mr. Brashears, for an awesome presentation. We're so grateful for your time and for sharing your knowledge with us. I tell you, Social Security is very detailed, and I know that it's ever changing. So thanks again for your presentation. And
yes, ma'am.
And so if anyone has more, I'm going to certainly send out information that Mr. Brashears sent me about this, so that you can read up on Social Security. And if you have additional questions, you can follow up with him or contact the Ticket to Work program. And meanwhile, stay tuned for life events. Next week, we have a workshop on ABLE accounts. We also have our social club meeting coming up on Wednesday. Feel free to contact us if you have any questions.